Good morning, everybody. Welcome. We're just going to give everybody a few minutes just to find their way into the session this morning. If you're in the UK and somewhere in the middle of the UK, if you've got some snow, pop something in the chat. Tell us where you are and tell us how much snow you've got. I'm in Norfolk. We have no snow, just lots of rain. It's wet, miserable. But we are going to brighten up your morning with this fabulous session today. And the reason for asking in the chat is just to make sure that we know the chat box is working. So I always get a little nervous when people don't put things in the chat box. So just tell us where you are so we know it's working. Got it. Excellent. Thank you, Susanna. I hope you've got either. I don't know. Do you want loads of snow? Is snow good? If you've got kids, probably snow's good, isn't it?
I was chatting to Heather Smith and she was like, I can't wait to see all the snow photos. And I'm like, it's -3. I'd rather be with you.
Excellent. So welcome everybody. I'm delighted you can join us this morning. Today we are talking about unlocking accounts payable as a service, thinking about how you can generate new revenue opportunities, manage risk, deliver better services for clients, and ultimately deliver really great insights for the clients that you serve. Plan is we always have these scheduled for an hour, but I always try and finish them in about 50 minutes. So if you have anything kind of to follow on from this and you've got it booked in at 11:30, we don't want you having any panic and having to rush off and missing the best bits. So do stay with us. It's going to be hugely informative. If you have any questions, do pop them in the Q&A box. At the end of the session this afternoon, probably we will circulate a copy of the recording. So that will be sent out to you with some links to some guides that we might think you might find useful that we'll share a QR code for at the end of the session as well. So I think that's the housekeeping done. I'm delighted to be joined today by Lara and Alex. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves first of all. So Lara, coming to you first. Do you want to just give everybody a quick introduction?
Yep, morning, Will. Thank you. Morning, everyone. So I have been ApprovalMax's head of bookkeeping for a year now, which is quite exciting. I've been using ApprovalMax for a lot longer than that. I've been in practice over 13 years with my bookkeeping practice, LJM Bookkeeping, and I have about 60 clients based now worldwide, mostly service-based, small limited companies, and I offer kind of the virtual finance office function for them.
Excellent. Thank you, Lara. And Alex, welcome.
Thank you, Will. It's a pleasure being here. My name is Alex. I'm a solutions engineer at ApprovalMax. And for the past 6 years now, oh my God, almost 6 years already in ApprovalMax, I've been helping our customers to understand what are their challenges and how ApprovalMax can solve them, how we can implement the product, how we can add all the bits and bytes of the best different features that we can offer to them and make their accounts payable as automated as possible. And speaking about the snow, actually, I just came a week ago from Seattle and they had a snow for about a chest. So
we just don't have no idea, do we? No idea. Unless we've got anybody joining us from the Highlands or something where they probably get reasonable snow as well. I think they have at the moment. I spoke to somebody the other day who said yes, they had some snow. So if anybody doesn't know me, I'm Will Farnell. I'm founder at Farnell Clark, but also one of the co-founders at App Advisory Plus. Really good to have ApprovalMax on with us today, because Alex has probably heard me say this before, but we created App Advisory Plus on the back of a challenge that we had way back in 2019. We had taken on a client within Farnell Clark who we were migrating to Xero, and they needed approvals. And we went searching for an approval solution and came across ApprovalMax. And we spent a huge amount of time trying to research how did everything fit together. We were putting in Dext, we were putting in ApprovalMax, and we were putting in WorkflowMax around Xero. And we were quite fortunate. We had a decent contact book to ring and say to people, have you used these products? How do they work together? but we still spent a huge amount of time trying to research this, and we said it would be great if there was somewhere we could go and kind of get the support around that. So if Alex hasn't heard that story, ApprovalMax were one of the vendors that led to App Advisory Plus being created. So it's always great to join you guys for a webinar, and we're eternally thankful that you helped us solve that challenge for that client and many other clients that we work with now. So that's introductions done. What are we going to talk about today? So we're talking about this idea of accounts payable as a service line. So we're going to kick off in a moment exploring what do we mean when we talk about AP as a service? What are we talking about? Once we've done that, we're going to do a quick poll and just try and establish who on the call is actually already doing it. We're then going to talk about thinking about how do we have the conversations with clients around AP? How do we help them understand what we're talking about here and the value that we can add? We're going to touch on how do you find the right clients, because this isn't for everybody. Your one-man band plumber may not need you to make all his payments for him and everything else, but we're going to talk about who are the right kind of clients. Then thinking about what technology you need in place to make this work, both in terms of efficiency, effectiveness, but also to the last point, how do we manage risk? Because for so long, accountants and bookkeepers have resisted moving into making payments for clients because they're concerned about risk. So one of the things we're definitely going to do today is talk about how you can manage that risk and make this a viable solution for you to offer to your clients. So that's the plan. That's what we're going to do. We're going to get on. But before we do that, Alex, just in case anybody doesn't know who ApprovalMax are, can you just give us a quick introduction in terms of like where you came from, and the problems that you set out to solve and the problems that you're solving now, which have broadened, of course.
Sure, absolutely. Actually, it's great that you've mentioned the story behind AAP Advisory Plus, because that's when the whole ApprovalMax started around like 9 years ago, when all these cloud accounting actually came into market, Xero, QuickBooks Online. We've noticed, and of course, Xero and QuickBooks Online, though they are great platforms, they're mainly focused on the smaller businesses. Therefore, they do offer you a very small number of tools to work with. And we found straight away a huge gap, and that is mainly within the approval side of the things. If you have more than maybe 1-2 people from the team making approvals, it is become such a tedious process, because you will need to send all of these multiple emails to different people from your team. There is no auditability behind the process. We wanted to fix that, and that's where the foundation of ApprovalMax actually began. That's where we built our amazing workflow engine. And since that time, of course, the whole product grown significantly. Now we offer an end-to-end financial control solution, allowing customers to extract the data from their invoices, build accounts payable and account receivable processes, and build these multi-step and multi-tiered approval workflows. And on the other side of the spectrum, to pay for these bills, making sure that everything is done automatically, that you don't spend your time, you don't get into some maybe fraudulent activities, that someone is trying to change certain things behind your back. So that's where ApprovalMax stands at the moment. It's an end-to-end financial control solution.
Excellent. Perfectly explained. Thank you, Alex. And so I'm just going to stop sharing slides now, so we can kind of focus on the conversation here. So AP as a service, Lara, going to come to you on this because you're doing this. You've talked to clients about it many times. You're right in the thick of it. So what do we mean when we say AP as a service? What are we talking about?
Well, I think people think of sort of the first start of AP, certainly with bookkeepers, is obviously the collection of the invoices. So the first bit is, how do you get that paperwork into your system? Do you get it in as your kind of as receipts? Do you use an OCR? How are you collecting that information? And then it moves on to the bookkeeping side of things, the bank reconciliation, those kind of things, reconciling payments. But what hasn't, the main part of AP is that it's in the name, isn't it? Accounts payable. It's that payable side as well. It's that the whole process of from collecting that piece of data, that invoice, that bill, what's been sent through to actually making sure that that end supplier is paid on time with the right checks in place and everything going through, so that you're then kind of taking that away from your client and taking the hassle away from your client. But I always say is maintaining the client's control and visibility on anything. I think that's really key with accounts payable. But it's the whole process. So a lot of people will do stage 1 and stage 2 of we're extracting the data, we're coding it, and then we're doing the bank rec. But what they're not offering is actually that ability to help the clients understand what they need to pay and when.
Yeah.
Or actually assisting with making payments for them.
Yeah. So the obvious question is what stops firms doing it? And obviously there was perhaps a point in time where you didn't do it either. So what was the driver for you, and what are the barriers that are stopping other people doing it?
Well, first of all, it's banking, isn't it? That's one of the big barriers, is getting clients to build up that relationship and that trust so that they then want to give you access to their bank.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way you used to be able to do it, was actually having a physical log on to the bank. And that was then A, as I say, the trust bit, B, so actually getting that access to the bank. We've all had to fill out mandate forms and gone round in circles for months while something goes wrong. See, insurance providers really didn't like it. So I had 2 people turn me down because although I had checks in place, they were like, if you've got access to the bank, we don't want to be involved. And actually, from our perspective, having access to funds that aren't yours is a scary thing as well. It's like, what if I make a mistake? What if something happens? What if there's a fraud? That's a big risk for a bookkeeper or accountant to take on as well. So these were all the problems with having that. Being the one that actually made the payment meant that you had to have full access to the bank. And that, as I say, just came with a bunch of risks. Whereas now, with the tech that's out there, you don't need to be that end person paying. You can do everything up until that stage, and then they just click a button, and it makes it easy for the client, but it reduces the risk on your side and the concern and worry. I mean, how many times have like keyed something in wrong, or typed flipped a number around or whatever, and it's like, oh crap, I've just paid more money than I was supposed to. And that's even worse when it's not your money.
Yeah. And having now gone through the process and you're there and you're doing this, what are the benefits?
One, as I say, taking that stress off your clients. If you're the one, I manage inboxes for clients, so I'm the one that suppliers chase. So if I'm the one in control of actually making those payments, I'm going to get chased less, which causes me less headaches as well. So making sure that everything is paid on time, that you've got the visibility. It helps with cash flow planning as well, because you know exactly when things are going to be made and paid, because you're the one in sort of liaising with your clients. You're talking to your clients a lot more. So you're involved in every step of the business, which again builds this relationship, builds this trust with clients. But as I said, my whole thing is giving them visibility and control while taking away as much stress and headache as possible. So saying, right, okay, we can do this and we'll set it up, and then you decide at the end. You can adjust things, you can take things out, you can split things, whatever you need to do. But if you're happy with it, you've got a 1 or 2 click process, and that's all you need to do to make sure that the right people get paid at the right time.
Yeah. And we're talking kind of the what here, and we're talking the why as well, aren't we? And I think the biggest thing for me when I think about the stuff that we're doing around this space is that it's a bit like the tech conversation we had a while ago. The more technology that we're supporting clients use, the stickier those relationships become. It's much harder for a client to move because they haven't got to find another accountant that is using Xero. They've got to find another accountant that understands this whole ecosystem that client is operating in. And if you then overlay the service provision as well as you have here in terms of we're managing the inbox, we're managing the payments, that's really hard for somebody to go and replicate that like for like by going somewhere else, isn't it? And of course we never want to think about clients moving, but when things do go wrong, and sometimes they do, we need to rely on kind of other things that help a client realize that it was a one-off. Is that fair?
That's fair. And I have to say, in my experience, I had a couple of clients that I got rid of at the beginning of the year, and a client that left me. And I know at least 2 of those are on their 3rd person since the beginning of the year, because they haven't been able to find someone that understands their systems and can offer the same level of service that I was doing before.
Yeah.
So I think that that's very true, of kind of, you become more embedded. I kind of describe myself to clients as almost like an external team member. I'm just another member of the team, remote as a lot of people are now, but I'm there to call upon, I'm there to do that support. And actually just having these conversations with clients. What are your needs? How can we help better? What processes can we put in place that makes your life easier? Because systems like ApprovalMax, yes, they make our lives easier, but the end goal is they make the clients' lives easier as well. So whether that's that they need the approvals changed, that they need all these things that go with it, that just having that conversation elevates you above someone that's just looking at compliance, or not even compliance, but doing those day-to-day tasks. You're actually thinking about what the business needs, and that's where all that value add starts to come to clients as well.
Yeah, because ultimately what we're looking at here, aren't we, is like, let's provide the fullest, most robust bookkeeping solution that we can for clients, to enable us to have confidence, faith in the data, to be able to drive the advisory conversations. I mean, that's what all of this is about, isn't it? And Alex, just in terms of from an ApprovalMax point of view, you guys have kind of enabled this, and there's not many vendors in the ecosystem that can talk about being in a position to have enabled firms to develop their proposition and their offering, because this is a natural evolution, isn't it? We're doing far more now than we ever could before. What are you seeing in the market? I mean, obviously you guys are growing, you've just had another raise, so that obviously suggests that everything's going really well. What are you seeing in terms of the increasing number of firms kind of beginning to take more control of this? How are you seeing the market play out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So actually what we see, a lot of our accountancy bookkeeping firms that came to us, let's say 5 years ago, and they were doing some like just basic day-to-day tasks at the moment. Now they're offering a high value advisory services to their customers, because though their team might not never grown, they might have all the same team, then they trust them, they know what they're doing. But at the same time, with the amount of automation they have now in place, they allowing themselves to provide much better services, much more advisory services, and add customers on top of that, without thinking about, hey, maybe we need to hire more people to do all these let's say tedious and day-to-day tasks that actually could be easily automated. So that's what I see. There's a clear transition between those who've been doing that for ages and just making X amount of money. In today's days, they're making 10X amount of money, having the same team, providing a much more high value services.
Yeah, perfect. So we're just going to do a quick poll, and the reason for doing the poll, having now talked about what we're talking about here, when we talk about AP as a service, we're talking about end to end. So from invoice capture through to payments. So the poll is going to ask who's doing it. So it should be up on your screen at the moment. So are you currently offering AP as a service? Now, again, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it for every client, because we're going to talk in a moment that every client isn't suitable. But for those clients that are, just this will help us kind of focus on the rest of the session in terms of where we go. So we've got about 50% people have answered so far, and it's looking good for AP as a service at the moment. Lots of people are already doing it. Another 10 seconds or so for anybody that hasn't voted on the poll yet. And I know with Zoom sometimes you kind of are frantically looking around for the poll and can't find it. I know that happens from time to time. But we've got a board mix here. About 2/3 of people are already doing it. So love to hear kind of pop stuff in the chat if there's any kind of observations around how clients are responding to it, how they're reacting to it. But thank you for completing that. So we had about a third doing it. We had about a quarter of the audience who plan to, and a smaller portion that are not doing it at the moment. So that's really helpful. We're going to come back and pop another poll up at the end of the session. So we've talked about the what is it we're doing here. We've talked about why you want to do it. Let's think about how. Um, so coming back to you initially, Lara, how do you broach this with clients? How do you have a conversation with clients about AP as a service? How do you get them to understand what it is and what the benefit to them is going to be?
I think the first thing is, obviously, we do the first stage. As bookkeepers, we're quite good at doing, or I would hope we're quite good at doing that first stage of the capture and getting that all in. And then I sort of left it up to clients. And then I discovered that clients were, the first transition was giving them a list of who they needed to pay, or using the plan date within Xero to kind of say, this is who you need to pay on these dates. These are the due dates. But you start talking to business owners and you realize how busy they are with everything. And if they're not in Xero, or they put the list down, or whatever's going on, they miss something. And that missing something can have quite a big impact on their business if they've forgotten to pay a supplier, or something's happened, or something's got delayed. So I kind of broach it with, again, as part of my service, one of the things I can help you with is making sure that those supplier relationships are all maintained properly, because you're paying people on time, and that you don't have any kind of hiccups with your business because of that regard. And what I'll speak to them is kind of what does that look like? Do they want to pay suppliers as soon as the money comes in? Do they have that money there available as soon as that bill comes in? Do they want that to go out the same week? Are they happy to pay suppliers on their due date, or do they have their own set payment terms? So especially with things like set payment terms, that's where the very beginning, one of the good things about ApprovalMax really comes in, is purchase orders as well, having that end-to-end, that sort of being the very first start of the AP process. But for people that don't need purchase orders, just having that kind of all that information in one place and saying, look, I've got this information in Xero. Within that information, you've told me what your business looks like. You've told me what you want to do. You've told me who your key, I can see who your key suppliers are, or we've had a discussion about your key suppliers. So let me take some of that burden away, so that you know that that's going to get sorted without you having to do very much. You'll still have to do a little bit, but it's going to be a lot smaller than you worrying about things and not knowing things. And I'll be the one that's making sure that there's no duplicate bills, that there's no kind of, we're not paying things that are already on direct debit. All these kind of things help me manage, because I've got that information and I'm in the systems day in, day out. So I can help you with that additional support on just the last bit of the AP process, the actual paying.
Yeah, so there's kind of some efficiency stuff here, isn't it? We're taking that. If we think about the old system, and the old system would be, right, here's a whole list of 50 people you've got to go and set up individual payments for. I mean, we use payroll as an example because it's an easy one, isn't it? If you've got 50 people, if you're doing a manual bank payment process, you got to go in, you got to key the money for 50 people, you got to set them all up as payments. That takes time, doesn't it? And again, when we think about bank access, normally within an end client business, the person with the bank access is the most expensive and busiest person in the business, the person that owns it. And what we're saying here is that these tools will enable us to do the groundwork, and the busy, expensive man, woman in the client can just skim down the list and say, yeah, that's okay, hit the button and approve it, and job done. So it's like everything else we do when it comes to bookkeeping, isn't it? It's about time saving, it's about controls, it's about better efficiency, and using the right people at the right level to do the right bit of the job.
Yeah, that's the thing, is as you say, the business owner didn't go into business to do the bookkeeping, to do the finance side. That's just the nature of being in business. They went into business for whatever their goals and whatever their passion is. So my whole business is set up, my practice is set up to say, right, okay, I give you back time so that you can focus on the thing that you love doing most, which is why you run your business, hopefully. And I'll do the bit that I love, which is helping you manage that business in the best way possible, so that as I say, you've still got control, you've still got visibility, you know what's going on, you're the one that presses the button at the end of the day. But all you have to do, instead of us having a list that's pinging backwards and forwards, things getting missed, things getting updated and not being told they're updated, I will give you a system where you can see everything, you can see what I'm doing, you can manage what I'm doing. But at the end of the day, if you're happy, it's 2 clicks of a button and everything's sorted.
Yeah. Couple of questions that have come in. I think we're some way to answer in the first, which is how to approach or offer AP to clients and what's the key selling point. And I think we talked a little bit about that. And for me, the selling point is an extension of the same selling point in terms of why you would suggest to a client that they outsource their bookkeeping to you. And if we accept that we see value in us doing the bookkeeping, this is just an extension. This is a last bit. So this is the last piece of the jigsaw, the bit that's always been missing. It's like, well, we do everything else. We just don't do that last little bit. This is your opportunity to do that last little bit. So I think the selling point is we take it away. We make it easy for you, Mr. and Mrs. Client, because you don't have to worry about it. We're going to do all the things that need doing. We're going to make sure that your finance function is run effectively. And the second question we're going to come on to in the next bit, which is about finding the right fit. Who are the right kind of clients? Because the question was, what's the scale of a business for which the AP service can be offered? So we'll come on to that in just a moment. So before we do that, Alex, any thoughts from you in terms of what are the key USPs here for firms that are looking at deploying ApprovalMax to enable them to do this end-to-end AP? What would ApprovalMax be saying are the benefits to clients?
Yeah, it's actually great that, Lara, you mentioned your main goal is to give time back to the owners to do whatever they have passion on. They're doing like actual meaningful work, because for us ourselves, for ApprovalMax itself, we're using ApprovalMax a lot for many different things. We segregate duties, different people looking at different things, just so we could be doing whatever we know the best and work on our product, providing the best service to our customers, not thinking that much about, the financial side of the things or the accounting side of the things, because it's all being covered. And that's actually the point for which we'll take next, about who would be our ICP, who would be the best clients for that. All the issues happens within the growing companies. If you're if you're a company that grows at the moment, you will quickly find out that a lot of things are kind of falling down and you need to fix them right on the go, and you're skyrocketing into the space of a high value business. Now you need to fix something on the way. It's probably not the best approach. The best approach, if you're a growing business, to have everything prepared, to have a foundation for growth. And that's where I see where ApprovalMax would be like the best fit, actually.
Yeah. And so I mean, let's pick that up now then Alex, in terms of who are the right clients, who are those that are suitable for us as accountants and bookkeepers to offer these services to. How do you think about identifying the right clients?
Sure. Well, the first two, these are, I'd say, like the basic parameters. The first one is sizing. If we're talking about the moms and pops business, one person, selling candles, probably there is no need for ApprovalMax. It will be an overkill. It's just too much. If you're doing that for maybe many years, you're sending all of these candles, you don't really need to have a pro process in place. But if you're a growing business, if you already have 5, 10, 20 and more people, and you're constantly hiring more people, that's where you will really find a great benefit of adding a pro automation in place. Because having this foundation, having the right people in place, having ability to add more people on top without breaking the whole system means a lot. So you won't be thinking about that, but you'll be focusing on the growth of your business. That's one thing. Second thing, a volume. How many documents you're processing, let's say a month. If you're just working with one supplier and they're just sending you 1-2 invoices a month, perhaps you don't really need an approval for that. You know what it means, the approximate amounts a month, therefore it all can be handled just manually. There is no need for you to automate that process. But if you're working with many different suppliers, you're receiving many invoices, you're raising purchase orders, that's where the volume can really be, burden on the whole process, because you will be just stacked with all of these different invoices and you need to process them quite quickly. You need to make payments on time. That's where automation will make the whole life much easier. You can really create these rules in terms of who should be seeing each and every invoice, let's say based on the account codes or maybe based on the amounts. Build multi-step process on top of that. And now only specific people will be able to see what's going on, approve that, And by the end of the day, if you are the person for making payments, you will receive those documents knowing that it's already been approved by the relevant people from your team. So these are two our basics ones. The third one, I think it's the most interesting one, and that's where we're talking about the digitization of the whole process. Just a month, two weeks ago, I think 2-3 weeks ago, I came back from Las Vegas from Intuit Connect, and I've been there for the past 3 years. So what I see, the trend on 2022, when I spoke with the people at QB Connect, at that time it's called QB Connect, a lot of them, maybe like a third or 40% of people who were approached us, they were still using QuickBooks Desktop. This year, 2024, I barely heard anyone who's still using QuickBooks Desktop. A lot of them already transitioned over to QuickBooks Online. And if you've been working with QuickBooks Desktop for a decade, maybe for 20 years, you probably already know the way it all works. And now you're moving over to the cloud. You probably will be lost in the market on what type of apps are there, who are the best apps, how we can actually add them into our app stack, making sure that everything is working fine. And that's where accountants, those who like to provide AP as a service, would be a great benefit for such clients, because you know the way it all works. You know which apps the best, which apps can benefit these clients, how we can transition business from being on QuickBooks Desktop over to QuickBooks Online, or same goes from any other desktop system into Xero, let's say. So digitization, I think, would be one of the main key factors, especially for those who are just thinking about going into AP as a service. That's where the huge market is at the moment.
Yeah, I think the thing we have to remember is, as accountants and bookkeepers, particularly speaking for the accountants, because I went through it as I did my qualifications, we do exams and we talk about the importance of internal controls, and fundamentally that's what we're talking about here. So regardless of size, if you've got people that are being given the ability to commit expenditure, then how are you managing that? How are you putting controls in place to make sure the right decisions are being made? And that's not just in your clients' entities, that's in your own entities as well. So go on, Lara. You look like you're ready to say.
The other sector that Alex hasn't touched on is actually those that need restricted spend controls. So clients that are sports clubs, charities, those kind of things, where funds are either have to be ring fenced or they need to be managed very closely. Yes, scaling businesses need this support and need it ahead of time, but equally there's some smaller businesses that need it just that same level of control just to maintain sort of being open and being there, because they have such restricted funds, or they need to have that level of, especially even if they're run by volunteers, especially in sort of charity and club sector, that's even more important to have those financial controls in place, because you don't have someone that's responsible at the end of the day. So it's all these little things that come together to kind of say, what does my client need? What type of client are they? What are they looking to do? What's their goals, and where are their pain points? And that's where you start to build up an idea of, okay, yeah, you're not going to need it if it's a sole practitioner, sole director maybe, but even if you've got 2 or 3 people on the team managing different areas, information coming in from different places, and they've got 10 to 15 different suppliers, that's then big enough to warrant the support that ApprovalMax brings.
Yeah, perfect. Let's talk about tech now then. So Lara, coming to you first. I mean, what does your AP tech stack look like? I mean, that's what we're talking about here. So how does it fit, and has it changed over the years?
Yeah, so it's always, I suppose, the first thing I've always done is OCR, or not always, but we're talking sort of 8-9 years of OCR as that very first bit of how do we get the data into the system. So whether that's them flowing through, what is that first stage? So previously it was Dext, and then with all the changes over the last couple of years, I've obviously changed to a few things depending on what my client needs, with ApprovalMax included in that now that the captures live. So that's the first thing, is how do you get that information in? Then I'm a predominantly Xero practice, so that information is flowing directly into Xero. So that's the first bit. Although I know with Dext, obviously you've got the integration. You can sort of go Dext ApprovalMax Xero or Dext Xero ApprovalMax. It doesn't matter which way around. So that's the first bit. And then as open banking's kind of become more available, I've used Comma, I've used Cresco, I've used other platforms as well. But having everything in one place makes it a lot easier. So when I talk about AP as a service, and I've kind of got a connection with a couple of different places, it is always, how do you make it as easy as possible? And what size of what do your clients, again, what do your clients need? So if they just need payments and payment approval, then that might be something else. If they need full process approval and they're bigger and they need those steps throughout the whole thing, then that's where something like ApprovalMax comes in. Because now, as we say, you can offer the whole end-to-end in one item. That makes it a lot easier for the client, because they're not having to look in loads of different places of what do I do where. You're kind of reducing that app overwhelm. And actually, it's making it better for me internally. I'm not having to jump into 5 or 6 different apps. I can do it from within 1 or 2, and that's going to make me more efficient.
Yeah. So have you still got a bit of a mix? You've still got some, or is everything now kind of in ApprovalMax end to end?
No, so I've still got a bit of a mix on things,
depending on the size of the client. Yeah.
Depending on the size of the client, what they need, how they need it, what sort of things they're supporting. I'm using 3. I've got 3 core apps depending on where they are.
Perfect. And just in terms of our and this hopefully leads into Alex, who's going to talk a little bit about the new additions that ApprovalMax have had, because certainly our journey with ApprovalMax started 5 or so years ago, where we put our first client onto ApprovalMax, and that what we discovered through the research that led to setting up App Advisory Plus is that there was a very slick process between what was Receipt Bank at the time, which is what we were using, ApprovalMax and Xero, and that still exists, doesn't it, Alex? That for people that are embedded in other pre-accounting tools, the ability to build those workflows through ApprovalMax are there, and they work extremely well. What we're seeing in this space, though, is lots of people broadening their propositions, and ApprovalMax is no different. And you have now added capture and pay. So probably it makes sense to kind of hand over to you on that, Alex. But before you do, one question came in that said, what bookkeeping software is compatible with ApprovalMax? I mean, obviously you've got Xero and QBO. What else have you got where you've got full integration?
Yeah, Oracle NetSuite, Xero, QuickBooks Online, and if we're talking about inventory management, Scene 7 Core as well.
Right, perfect, excellent. So, Alex, do you want to talk about the kind of evolution around capture and pay? And I have got some slides which I'll just pop up on screen for you as well. So start talking, and I'll get the slides up while you do that.
Sure, thank you. Well, actually, to emphasize your words, it's maybe a little history lesson of where it's all started and where we came today. So initially, for the past 8 years, now almost 9 years actually, our main sole focus was only on our workflow engine. That's why a lot of companies that are still working with us, they still have this, app stack of where they're using Dext as an OCR, then ApprovalMax for the approvals, and Xero as well, manual general ledger. So our main focus was only on the workflow engines. And during these 8 years, we had lots of app providers who was trying to copycat our workflow engine. All of them failed. So let's say the December 2024, last year, we were only focusing on the accounts payable, account receivable, approval automation. However, these days, course, more and more people are asking that, hey, we are kind of tired of zoo of apps. We're kind of tired of having multiple logins in many different systems. We want all in one place where we can do end-to-end, where we can do all of our work. So having this great foundation about ApprovalMax workflows, like the actual core foundation of the product, it is now easier for us to add these add-ons. So the first add-on that we presented to our market during Xerocon London, by the way, just a couple of months ago, was ApprovalMax Capture. That is our built-in OCR solution. Therefore, for the customers who's looking for a way to, have a data extraction approvals and payment side. Now they can do that with ApprovalMax Capture. They can extract the data from their invoices. Doesn't matter if you would like to provide an email address to your vendors, to your suppliers, and they will be sending those bills over there. Or if you would like to snap a photo with your mobile app, or if you would like to drag and drop an invoice or maybe bulk of invoices into your system, all of those things are provided over to you within ApprovalMax Capture. And on top of that, we do have some machine learning on the background of the process. So once, let's say, you've submitted an invoice from one of your suppliers, let's say ApprovalMax. Of course, we don't know yet which category code or which maybe tracking category should be used. Once you'll do that for the first time, we will learn from your previous interaction. And next time you will upload something for extraction, we will already automatically apply all of these values towards that bill. So it makes it super easy. It takes around 10, 15 seconds to extract the data from everything and just push it forward for your approvals. Very, very easy. And at the same time, let's say we're not talking only about the English language, of course, we are supporting more than 40 languages across the world. And actually about maybe 3 or 4 months ago in September, when I've been to Suit World, that's for Oracle NetSuite conference, we had a networking party and just some random guys came over to me, like asking why for some reason no OCR tool can read Chinese letters. That's actually sparked my attention because like it shouldn't be the case. We should be able to read the Chinese letters. I wasn't sure for 100%, so I decided like, okay, give me a day, and tomorrow come over to our booth. I'll tell you if we can support the Chinese language. I tried many languages actually during the night. I found out the Chinese is totally supported. So there we go. That's on one side of the spectrum. That's ApprovalMax Capture. The next product that we've also presented, which for now only available for the UK market and only for the domestic payments, though hopefully within a couple of months, it will already go live for other markets as well, and also for international payments. We're working hard to provide you with that. But just to give you maybe a little recap, what is ApprovalMax Pay? It is also built-in solution for you to add your bank directly to ApprovalMax and build the approval process behind it. So why it is so important? Just as Lara said at the very, very beginning, one of the maybe strangest and probably the hardest thing to do with your client is to receive this trust, so they will give you access to their bank. With ApprovalMax Pay, you don't need to do that. You can build the whole approval process behind the system, and the person who has access to the bank, let's say a client, will be the one who will be clicking on pay once it is fully approved by all the relevant team members. We're actually using ApprovalMax Pay internally a lot. Therefore, we can see where the process started, who created the batch, who approved the batch. Maybe there's someone who reviewed the whole thing and make sure that the bank details are correct and it's all being sent to the relevant people. Then during the approval process, you have a traffic light system showing you if the payment details were changed, who made those changes, when they made those changes. So you have full visibility about when you've made the last payment, if any bank details has changed since that time, who made those changes. So you have really great control over any potential risks behind paying to your suppliers. So knowing that you're in a safe space, knowing that you're paying to the correct people, to the correct suppliers, for you is just a matter of clicking one button and transferring money to your supplier on time. That's overall what are these two additional products. They're all built into the system. And if you, let's say after this webinar, will decide to give it a try, during your free trial, you'll have access to both ApprovalMax Capture and ApprovalMax Pay. So you have pretty much access to everything, to the whole system. And you can try it out by yourself and see how it all works. And you probably will agree with me that it will work as magic. Because I love it. I use it on a daily basis.
Thank you, Alex. And just in terms of kind of the next step here, and it's kind of still product related to a sense, in terms we talked a lot about the risk and accountability. So again, Alex, if we think about kind of the core of the ApprovalMax product, which was the approval workflow engine, talk us through a little bit about how the technology is helping not only with the automation, but management of risk and accountability in the process.
Sure. Well, the actual approvals is actually easy. So if you don't have auditability behind these approvals, it kind of makes no sense, because it would, think of it as you could just give access to everyone, or just random people. It's like, hey, I have these 10 bills, just approve them if you think it's all fine. That's what it means when you have just a approval system without any auditability behind the process. And that's where tech can help. And that's where ApprovalMax is actually adding these additional layers of control. And one of them would be our audit trails and audit reports on behind each and every transaction. So you know exactly on each and every stage of the process, who is making approvals, why they're doing that, when they're doing that. You have these audit reports provided to you both in ApprovalMax and it later sent into your accounting system. So you will find these audit reports both in Xero, QBO, or NetSuite. That's one thing. On top of that, if you're doing any changes to the request, we do have a request version history. So you know exactly when the request was created, who created that. If any change were made, you know exactly who made the change, why they've made it, and what change was made. So you have full visibility on that. Same with the workflows. If any change were made to the workflow, you will know exactly what is going on. But that is one thing. For each and every transaction, just keep track of everything, what is going on. There is also another side of the things, which is the fraud detection, and that comes with many different places. First of all, if certain users still have access to Xero for some or the other reason, and you're not quite sure that they're always sending these bills for approvals into ApprovalMax, we do have fraud detection tool for both if someone is trying to bypass the workflow and for the changes that were made after the final approval. So you can also keep track on that things. Something that I've mentioned previously for ApprovalMax Pay, we have this traffic light system, which allows you to also mitigate the risk, knowing if any payment details were changed. So that's third thing. Then once we have a whole bulk of these invoices, bills, purchase orders, credit notes, whatever, everything's been approved, you might want to build a report showing you what are the details behind who made all of these approvals, why they've made it, when they've made it. Maybe someone is keeping us waiting and not doing their work on time. You can easily build the reports on all of these different transactional types, and you can schedule those reports. So even without logging into your ApprovalMax account on maybe on a daily or weekly basis, you can just schedule the report once a week in your mailbox. You will receive the report showing you exactly all the information about what you wanted to see. So one great implication, what I'm seeing, companies that are raising purchase orders that are later receiving bills and they need to do the bill to PO matching, they're doing goods received notes. That's quite a few things that they're doing at the same time. And they want to know which POs are still maybe not received, with the GRN status not received, which POs has still some balance left, which bills being matched to the POs, and so on and so forth. So for that, with just a couple of clicks, you can create a report showing you all of that information. So then just by looking maybe once a week, you will know exactly what is going on within your account. And of course, previously was mentioned already, a duplication of bills. So that's one thing that is quite hard to manage, especially if you have a large and high volume of these bills coming in. And ApprovalMax allows it to easily navigate through that. If a bill came from the same supplier and it's a duplicate of another bill, that even if you've paid that already, or if it's still in the queue for being approved, we will highlight that this is a duplicate. So then be extra cautious making any approval decisions. And that's just the basics. Of course, there's lots of additional layers. Something that I've mentioned, bill to PO matching, GRNs, and so on and so forth. You can add more and more tools on top of that, making sure that each and every bit of the process is fully controlled and mitigate the risk as much as possible.
Excellent. Lara, anything to add?
I was going to say, I think that's the key thing with ApprovalMax is you've got all of these different modules in there to kind of turn on and add to. So if you start with, we're talking about AP as a service, you start with your accounts payable, but then you can have new suppliers creation, you can have checking bank details as all part of that. You've got the purchase orders, and then you've also got the sales side of it as well. If you've got clients that need sales invoices and have a sales manager that needs to check things off before they go out, you can again use ApprovalMax. So it's when you start using it in one part, you'll probably find things that are then more helpful to kind of the client as well, and say, right, okay, we're going to start with AP, but actually, have you thought about raising purchase orders? Are you using reg purchase orders at the moment? Do we want to do that? Is there something that would help you with your controls? As Alex said, having those reports to know what you're still waiting for in, again, builds into the whole cash flow picture. You can go to a client and say, well, so-and-so supplier hasn't billed you for this yet. Can you let us know what's going on? What's happening here? So there's a lot of kind of extra parts to it that you can turn on and off as your clients need.
Perfect. We are almost there. I said that I'd run another poll at the end. So based on everything you've heard today, this is particularly relevant to those that are not already doing this. Do you feel confident in offering AP services to your clients on the basis of what we've shared with you today, and certainly those that need more time to research. Both us and Alex and Lara, I'm sure, will be more than happy to help you with that research if you need some support or there's outstanding questions. When we send out the recording later on today, we'll make sure that there's contact details there for anybody that has any other questions that you didn't want to ask today. We have answered pretty much all of the questions in the Q&A box. There was one last one on payments, which whilst we let that poll finish, one of you two can answer, I'm sure. Do you have scheduling of payments? Is it just pay supplier at a time, or can you do batch payments?
Great question. So in terms of, I'll start with the second one. We can, of course, do the batch payments. Therefore, you can, let's say, have 10 invoices and just add them all into a single line and pay it in just one single payment. On the first question regarding the scheduled payments, that is a work in progress. It should be available within a couple of weeks. So we know, and a lot of our customers who've been using ApprovalMax Pay for the past months, that was one of the most requested features. Therefore, our team working hard to provide you that with very, very soon. Hopefully, maybe between 1-2 weeks, it will be already available.
Excellent. Thank you for that, Alex.
I see there is a following up question. Is that one supplier or multiple suppliers in one batch? It is a one supplier batch. So that's just the way open banking works. You cannot really take, let's say, 10 invoices from 10 different suppliers and make them and add them into one single batch and pay that, unless we're using some kind of a third-party tools, maybe like Airwallex, which, by the way, we are integrated with. But if we're talking about the open banking, the limitation is that it should be approval or authorization of a single line. That's just simply the way it all works. But what we did, a little workaround, you can take a bunch of invoices from the same supplier, add them all into one single line, approve it once. In Xero, it will show you as a whole batch, but then you will be able to reconcile that once the bank feed is sent into Xero.
Excellent. Thank you, Alex. We always like to leave some key takeaways. So these are the things that we want you to take away from the session, because we've covered a broad range of areas here. So first of all, approvals and payments are the missing piece in the jigsaw. We mentioned this, that we all do bookkeeping, we all do outsourced bookkeeping, and many of us have resisted making that last step. This enables you to make that last step and close that loop and really deliver that true outsourced service to your clients. We touched on the fact that it builds really sticky client relationships. The more technology you're supporting clients with, the more involved you are in their processes, the closer that relationship is going to be, and the harder it is. The barriers to exit raise massively for your clients. So I don't want you to think that we're kind of locking clients in, but certainly we want to make sure that we're delivering huge value, and that value is harder to replicate if somebody wants to move on. This is a simple route to increasing revenue from your existing clients. You're already doing the bookkeeping. This is just an extension to that, and there is an opportunity for you to deliver more revenue. It's really important you utilize the tools to manage risk. Alex particularly went through what ApprovalMax have done to help us have confidence in the processes here, to make sure that we're managing our risk and we're ensuring that the client has accountability in the right places. And the last thing is, obviously, we're delighted that we've been able to share this session with ApprovalMax. ApprovalMax now has the option for you to do everything in one place, end to end. So it's really important that you recognize that. But as Lara said, that may not be the right solution for every client, but the option is there for those clients that it fits. Both of you, anything that we've missed there in terms of key points that you want people to kind of go away with today?
I think the thing is to not be scared about this. Like, there is these, if you're using all these and you're taking away these points, then don't be afraid to sort of start having those discussions with your clients and see whether it is something that kind of you can broach and you can start to offer.
Yeah, 100%. Same from our side. Don't be afraid to talk with your vendors, like app providers, in case you're not sure about something, in case you need maybe some help, especially at the very beginning of the process. Feel free to reach out. We'll be more than happy to guide you through, even though there is a 14 days free trial and you can actually do the whole thing just by yourself without even talking to us. We are here to help. We are not biting you or something like that. There is no stupid questions. We love questions, and we are happy to help.
Excellent, thank you, Alex. And we've posted a QR code here for you. We will share this in the email that we'll use to send a copy of the recording. But Alex, do you want to just kind of explain what the guide is about and what's in there for people?
Sure, absolutely. So it's actually, if something from today's discussion sparked your attention, if you're thinking about, let's say, add AP as a service, or maybe add a new stream of revenue, or maybe just simply provide a better experience to your customers, then we prepared this guide just for you. It's free of charge, of course, so feel free to download it. And yeah, we'd be more than happy to discuss it further.
Perfect. Excellent. We don't appear to have any more questions, so I think we've dealt with all of those. I did promise to try and bring you a few minutes before your 11:30 meetings. I've just about done it, bit tight, but we're almost there. So thank you all for taking the time to join us today. Thank you to Alex and to Lara for coming and sharing their knowledge. I hope it's been useful. I've certainly found it really informative. So thank you both for your inputs there. We'll circulate the recording, but thanks again for joining us. Thank you to Alex and Lara, and enjoy the rest of your day, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Lara, we're staying here.